first step in drawing is to minutely observe the posture of the model standing in front of you. Try to read the expressions, the profile, body language, placement of arms and legs, and the proportions and foreshortening of the body parts. These observations help in bringing out the exact character of the model being drawn. All this adds to a meaningful entity, which one calls drawing. Child's face is devoid to prominent bone structure. The cheeks are usually round and chubby. That's why one needs to just draw the slightly round face and place the facial features over it. Roughly mark the position of eyes, nose, hair and lips. Now is the time to observe the shoulders, neckline and folds of the shirt. The drawing of the folds is also a creative process to learning to see graphic images selectively. One can selectively choose the ones which will reflect the slightly twisted pose of the body. The black color of the t-shirt is making the creases not very prominent. One needs to know which fold to catch and which lines to ignore to bring out exact character even without bringing out intricate details. Draw the position of the arm. The left arm is hanging down and the right one is placed over the backrest of the chair. The basic sketch just needs to reflect the pose, and the square formation of hands can be base for bringing out the details later on. One needs to be very spontaneous in drawing, as too much control of the hand can break the rhythm of the lines and even hinder the beauty of the sketch. One needs to observe that the upper arm is hidden under the oversized t-shirt and there is a slight foreshortening of shoulder due to it being slightly twisted. The angle of the raised right leg, whose foot is placed on the rod of the chair, is engulfed in the hanging shorts of the model, yet indicating the hidden bone structure. The curved line being created due to raised leg is clearly reflecting the pose. A few random lines of the folds, creases and positioning of the body parts will lead the drawing to a step where the details will crop up with each new stroke being added to the drawing. Define the shape of the legs and roughly draw the angle of the feet too. Once one starts giving outline to the form, these prevailing scribbles act as a shadow in the drawing from which the crucial details will crop out. Draw the square for the backrest of the chair and observe the angle in which it is placed. It is acting as a supporting element in positioning of the model, whose one arm is hanging over it and the foot is also on its lower rod. These few angular lines accurately placed leads the mind to another level where one can imagine the complete drawing with the details. The foundation has to be strong to work on it intricately. Muniz explained drawing very beautifully by saying, drawing is not only a way to come up with pictures. Drawing is a way to educate your eye to understand visual information, organizing it into a more hierarchical way, a more economical way. When you see something, if you draw often and frequently, you examine a room very differently. Now is the time to start adding shading and details to the sketch. Start adding gradations of tones to the hair of the head. The light and dark strokes combined together will make it appear silky and glazy. Omitting a few details and adding a few as per personal choices and intuitions bring out the beauty of the drawing and adds individuality to it. These flowing, rhythmic and bold pencil strokes are a reflection of knowledge, intuition, expertise and practice. In his desire to integrate his work, the artist uses whatever seems to him effective for his purpose. He may make individual choices consciously, but often he may make them as a part of series of intuitive decisions. As he works at his object, trying to complete it, changing elements until each feels right and all go together. Start defining the facial features by darkening the eyeballs and gradually building the other features with soft and sharp lines. These tonal variation will not only add a third dimension to the sketch, but also adds to the beauty with a different treatment at every place as per the requirement. The sketch will keep on becoming clearer with each stroke, and new dimension will keep on building up with clarity and precisions of the form and its features. Step by step, the artist explores the depth of the object and gets better understanding of the characteristics. The darkness of the pupil of the eye, nostrils, hair, upper lip, and then the soft shading of the eyebrows around the area of the eyes, cheeks, cleft of the chin, etc. All help in etching the facial features more prominently. The blur of the contours also help in bringing out delicacy. One may need to keep on balancing this tonal gradation as the drawing progresses. Soft lighting works best for making portraits of children. As it brightens the face and helps in creating an introspective facial expression. A hard line may destroy the innocent look on the face of the child. A child's chubby cheeks, devoid of any pointed or highlighted cheekbones, is a feature to be observed. With soft pencil strokes, only add a little gradation of tone here and there over the cheeks and darkness under the chin. The ears might appear big, but basically one needs to observe their starting point as tip of the eyebrow till tip of the nose. Little shading in the symmetrical shape of the ear grooves will make it look finished. Like John Berger says, drawing is a way of coming upon the connection between things, just like metaphor in poetry reconnects what has become separated. define the shape of color. See how a single line can make the head stand out. Darkened strokes on ear, nostrils, upper line of eye, a few soft strokes over the eyebrows and cheeks all will help in highlighting the facial features. These strokes or touches may seem random to a spectator, but these only adds more gravity to the drawing. One should look into the tonal variations and try to grasp the subtle gradations. Tonal drawing is simply a balancing act between the elements of light and shade. In fact, all drawing is a constant balance between your observation, your concentration, your judgment, and your technique. Start with a linear shading over the t-shirt of the child. This rendering will prepare a base for further building up of the folds over it. It totally is an artist's prerogative how he wants to treat his subject. With rough strokes, delicate and careful lines, spontaneity, a coarse or a smooth look. He can also bring various elements together to form a unified whole. This basic structure, till now devoid of much details except on face, still has full indication of proportions and structure. With a little shading and a clear line over the arm and fingers of the hand hanging over the chair, the drawing will rise to another level. An artist's mind moves faster than his hands. That's why he may keep on shifting his concentration from one part to another, wherever his imagination leads him. Again back to the t-shirt and its folds. Start adding a few linear strokes covering small areas. It will automatically reflect the darkness of the cloth and the hidden folds. This may seem to be just a base or incomplete look to an onlooker, but one can experience synthesis of sensual perceptions and integrate multi-leveled concepts in conceptual elements of portraits, landscape or still life. It uplifts, distracts from petty details and activises the spectator's intellectual, emotional and volitional complex. These gradual steps only keep on bringing third dimension in our drawing. Omitting many details and just capturing a few can also give the impression of posture and placement. One needs to catch the manner in which they have been constructed, the flexibility, motion, vitality, sensuousness, and intellectual traits of the artist. Now let's experiment again by drawing the same child model again and search for more clarity and precisions of the form and the spontaneity of lines and understanding of proportions. A child's sketch has to be suffused with life, reflecting bubbliness and freshness. An artist's mind needs to catch the restless, moving image in one pose to capture intuitively and side by side, maintaining the character. The pose may be same, but the mood and treatment of an artist may vary on every new experiment. Painting can only represent a single moment, which best allows us to infer what has gone before and what follows. Lessing further elaborates. The artist can never use more of ever-changing reality than one single moment of time, and if he is a painter, he can only look at this moment from a single aspect. Thus the artist was driven in the interest truth to concentrate more and more on the task of giving in John Constable words. One brief moment got from fleeting time, a lasting and sober existence. With practice and experience, the mind learns to practice the importance of a few elements in the drawing to be captured. An artist knows what might bring out perfect character of the model. Every new yet familiar line will become a new element being introduced in already practiced drawing. The linear lines covering the clothing and chair are a step forward in observation of shadows and tones. A few spontaneous lines for folds of the shirt, a little shading here and there defining darkness of color, and the prevailing folds gradually are the steps to bring the drawing to another mature level. The flow of pencil strokes and new strokes overlapping the previous strokes will reflect the direction of folds are taking. Even with minimized details, the essence of drawing is being maintained. Being too meticulous can break the visual flow, and the drawing might lose its rhythmic charm. Like Jeff Koons' words reflect the element of selectivity so aptly. If I try to articulate every little detail in drawing, it would be like missing the forest for the trees. So it's just about getting the outline of the forest. Draw the left arm and give shape to the hand and its folded fingers. A little shading over the arm gives it a roundness. One needs to be aware of the bone structure and tissues and the tendons. This all is not scientific, but helps to give shading in a particular direction or way and trains the mind of an artist to catch the things or shapes which are hidden under the folds or are not visible. The overlapping lines of shadows being created over the knickers or shorts of the model are not looking chaotic, but bringing out details of the pose in which the model is standing. When one is aware of all these minutes observations, there is no risk of a form being disproportionate and eyes. Vincent van Gogh rightly said, as practice makes perfect, I cannot but make progress. Each drawing one makes, each study one paints is a step forward. Every scribble, every dot and every line, whether it's over the arms or the legs or giving proper shape to the feet, speaks its own language captured in the play of silhouettes and shapes. The touch and retouch reflects the mature level of the realization of the artist, where he notices the reed of changes to be made in the drawing, with each new stroke being introduced. These fluidity of lines, vitality, skillful doodling, darkening and lightening of creases all help in building a relationship or connection and depth of interrelated spaces. These lines are very important to bringing out details of body parts in artists' own meticulous ways, a fusion of sensuous and intellectual. Studying the curve of the calves and the foot, redefining the shape of hands with bolder strokes, smudging the lines with fingertip and merging the contours to convert the hard lines to softness. All reflect the instinct to explore more possibilities and exploiting the medium in as many ways suitable for the subject. Again, making a few changes in the darkness at various places like folds of t-shirt, shoulder, chin, cheeks, etc. Is the need of restless and creative mind of the artist. Like Henry Matisse once said, I want to reach the state of condensation of sensations which constitutes a picture. Perhaps I might be satisfied momentarily with a work finished at one sitting, but I would soon get bored looking at it. Therefore, I prefer to continue working on it so that later I may recognize it as a work of my mind. time to add details and depth to the chair, which is supporting the model's arm and foot. One needs to darken a few edges and make an effort to articulate little details which might enhance the similarity between the model and the drawing. These additional lines are projecting towards an apt impression and helping in bringing out the essence of resemblance to the composition. The lines, somewhere dealt delicately and somewhere with pressure, reflect the visual information caught by inner eye of the artist and being depicted in his individualistic way. A few lines of projection under the chair and shading under the feet of the model, darkness over the backrest and seat of the chair reflect the treatment of the artist, which indicate towards his notions, ideas, presumptions, concepts, and finally the depictions. Like Auguste Rodin expressed, the modes of expression of men of genius differ as much as their souls, and it is impossible to say that in some among them, drawing and color are better or worse than in others. A few horizontal lines on the floor and then a few vertical ones to create the balance shows the mastery of the artist over the medium. A trained mind to add strokes at the right and needful places. There need to be perfect correspondence between feelings, forms and techniques. The lighter, darkened and ambiguous lines will form their own notions, and the drawing at the final stage will turn out to be a reconstruction of the reality with artist's personal freedom. Each stroke, a doodle, a scribble, smudging or shading, urges the artist to explore his subject more closely and create right tonal variations and depths. Practice and observation will only stimulate the imagination and will draw the mind to form its own visual statements, being aware of each and every stroke. Edgar Degas aptly expressed, painting is not so difficult when you don't know, but when you do, It's quite a different matter.